My name is Angela Savage. I'm currently working as a director at St John's University of Tanzania, which is based in Dodoma, the capital of Tanzania. The title of the particular article that I've written for the Journal of Cases in Educational Leadership is Tackling Long Delays in Transcript and Certificate Production in Higher Education, a case study from Tanzania. And I'd like to share with you just a few things about the writing of it and just why I was keen to share it with other people. Particular things that I've brought out in this study are the issue of time, relationships, respect for other people, and unwillingness to correct somebody who is a senior or to complain in any way. So that's a couple of issues related to culture that I think are particularly important in this article. In the first place, I'd just like to say that I was really excited when I came across the Journal of Cases in Educational Leadership, because throughout my teaching career, I've found that stories is just such a good way of teaching and learning. And so this was just the forum that I was looking for to share some things that I had been learning over recent years. I've personally been working nearly 30 years in different places in Africa, and over the last few years I've had the privilege of being in a position to use a lot of experience in practical problem solving. I hope that this case would encourage other people to tackle problems, even if they're in a really difficult situation, maybe where people are resistant to change, maybe where resources seem to be very limited, maybe where cultural values are different from their own. I hope that this case would give people some encouragement to just step back and see how something positive may come up, even if it's not perfect. Something positive may come out of quite a difficult small group discussions, sharing in different ways. And then I would suggest that the teacher would focus on one of 4 areas which I've highlighted in the suggested student learning activities. These are about functioning in a resource-poor setting, in a situation where there's different cultural values, identifying staff assumptions, and using problem-solving approaches. Those are 4 quite heterogeneous topics, and depending how this fits in the overall teaching program, I would suggest that teachers pick out 1 or 2 of those to particularly hone down on. I think there's really quite a need, certainly in African situations where expatriates are functioning. There is a particular need to be very sensitive, for example, to cultural values and to the issue of coping with very limited resources. So I would suggest that it's useful for readers and practitioners to go to JCEL and use this case as an example of problem solving. I hope that there would be some parallels to their own particular situation, that there would be useful just hints, things that might be able to spark off ideas to solve problems effectively. I would also like to think that this might be useful to just broaden people's outlook a little bit on a setting different to their own. I've noticed that many of the JCEL articles are from the United States, but I'd just like to share a little bit of an African taste. So many people live and work in Africa, and there's so much to be done there. I hope it might inspire other people to consider how they might be able to collaborate or possibly even volunteer for a period, just to think about what it's like in another setting and how they might be able to link up with universities in other continents. So I think that the particular aspects that could be brought out in the teaching deliberations are outlined in the learning activities, as I've already mentioned, which relate to problems with limitations of resources. I would like people just to understand a bit of how it might be to work in a situation where, like, power cuts are just really common, and we don't always have backup generators that are available to work. We're constantly struggling with not having enough staff, and there are some days where we just don't even have paper and toner and the things that you probably take a bit for granted. We don't have very good database systems, whole load of things like that maybe it might make people a bit happier, or a little bit more sensitive to the wonderful resources that we have in so-called developed countries, and to have an interest in how other people are coping and what standards might be.